All right, here's that vintage box of my cars that we're gonna go through today. These cars are from, some of them are from my vault, and some of them are just from this vintage box I have that I've had since I was a kid. So those are kind of random cars, but ones that I was able to find as a kid, either brand new or at a garage sale, or that were given to us or as birthday presents and so forth. Like this Lamborghini machine. Example of this Lamborghini machine is from the 80s, probably 87, I think it says it is. And this one is 2004. It's a tuned version. That's why it looks really whack. But there's quite a time space even between those two. So some of these are going to be in the vault. Some of them are going to be ones that you've seen before. Like these two. They're making all the noise. If you remember, these are from my vault because I kept them. This one's a premium from the 90s with the rubber tires. They even have tread on the bottom of these ones. I had both of these since I was a kid. So if these are, nice catch. So if these weren't in the vault, I'd just have them kept in this old vinyl case that I've had since I was a little kid. I'm going to show you a couple other ones in the vault real quick, seeing how I have it open. I just did videos on them. The Porsche and the Ferrari, the sick old 959 legendary Porsche. It's got a metal bottom from 87. And the Ferrari Testarossa. The Testarossa, I have a Matchbox. I'm just like here, just trying to get both the cars. Matchbox one, like I said. Oh, we only need one car. And it's interesting to see how similar they are, but yet how different they are between the two companies. And now, of course, Hot Wheels has the new Hot Wheels versions of the own new Ferraris that are come out. With that Porsche, this one came out in like 84. I'm not going to look at the dates on them all because I think when I did the actual Porsche video of this, I got this date wrong. But like I said, they're all old. You'll be able to tell when there's a new one in here. I showed this one before. I did the last of the exotics with the Bugatti. And like I said, I think this is a Bugatti too, but I think I'm getting it mixed up with the Atlantic. I got this as a little guy, and I got this white one here as a little guy. And this was the garage sale found. Didn't make sense, but this is the garage sale find. I was trying to get the same car. This one, if it is the Bugatti, they riveted that back seam. It was actually black and it was riveted. And in the front, if you see, the hood opened up like a W. That opened up sideways, not out. They opened up each side. So that it was really interesting to see that those actually open up. And this car was huge. I think it was black, and they, like I said, I think this is the one they had to rivet together. I just said that a couple times, but there's a famous car, Bugatti, that got lost in the war, and I think it's this one. This other white one doesn't actually have anything written on the bottom of it. So I guess whatever side profile you can get out of it. is what it is. I can't tell. This one was from the vault. I'm surprised it was actually a Hot Wheel. It's also one that we personally had the whole time since I was a kid. It's in pretty rough shape. This one as well hit the tub and everything, but somehow it still survived. I think that says 84. I'm not too worried what year it actually is. It's really cool. And then we have something really weird. I've seen a lot of these online. Oh, that wasn't a very good picture. Can you tell what it is just from that? I'm only into the JDM cars these days. Oh, almost. Look how big this is. But as a kid, we had all sorts of this stuff, right? Like my brother was more into the cop cars and things like that. And so I got rid of all that weird stuff and just kept the ones that I liked, which were the old cars that I was collecting as a kid already. But this one is a Hot Wheel. It still has the plastic hosers on top. Chipped paint. This one I know went in the tub as well. I don't know how it's this nice. But this is a true vintage. One owner had it since it came out. 79 is when this casting came out, so I have no idea when we got it, but it's nice and big. It's really heavy. It's really heavy. I should have put it in my unique file. And we're going with, it's almost 3.5 inches compared to that last one I just had even. Here's a random little Corvette. And it's under, I don't know why I'm measuring this, but it's like 2.5. And this huge thing is almost 3.5. So it's big and it's heavy. It's like, feels like it's solid. Looks a lot better when you're up close and you get to see the details of it. Let me see how close, too close is here. Considering, not that bad. Because there's a lot of details on this. So is that. This one's kind of funny. This one kind of started me collecting the JDM collection cars. Oh, it's kind of half dead. This had a fridge sitting on it for who knows how many years. Beautiful color. I have this car in my collection. I have the first edition, which is actually this one, I think, if I'm correct. And then I have like a yellow one and a red one consecutively year after year. Around 2000, 2001, 2003. I think right into there. You can't tell, but it's got some drift graphics or some tire graphics on the side. It has a plastic bumper still. The lights, you can see it there with the light from the light here in the lens lights of the headlights. That yellow is part of the windshield lens. It's a great casting. It's got a lot to it. This was under my fridge in the last place that was a rental property. And I was like, hey, what is that? Checked it out. Looked online. and found quite a few of them. This one I showed already. It's an older 70s Corvette. It's really, really nice. All these are really, really nice, but the paint on this, of course, let me see if you can see it close enough. It's just really, really smooth and just like very, very smooth and clean. So the back there looks a little crusty, but it's like just, it's really cool. Looks like somebody painted it with white out or something. Okay, and in with that Bugatti, got a couple more Porsches I showed already, so I'm just gonna go through it real quick. This 595 is the color changing one. I think my cat's having some fun in the litter box. I don't know if you can see it this close, but depending on if it's red or yellow is depending on what graphics you'll see stick out too, if that makes sense. So when it's bright yellow at the one temperature, it's hard to see those colors, and when it's really red, you see the other one. I always thought that was cool. It's a color changing. I had this in my Magnus Walker Porsche collection. I like it because it's just one of the weird outlaw ones that I happen to have, like this one. These are both actually outlaw Magnus Walker edition cars. Right there. I forgot to mention that in my Porsche video, but this 71 is in the vintage collection, just to go with that old Porsche. These two, one I found at a garage sale in BC as a little kid on a vacation, and this one I found in the dirt. It literally still has dirt on it. They're both the same casting. One doesn't have anything written on the bottom of it, which is this red one. But the black one says it's the 1994 two-door. That's all it says about it. You can see they're like massive gangster cars. They're so low to the ground. They don't work down any of the tracks. They're so low you can, it's just scraping on the floor. It doesn't even go down, if you can tell. Pretty decent bottom. These are both metal. Both of them are rusty. Both of them went in the tub. Both of these ones got trashed. For some reason, but I kept them at night. It was weird that I found the same exact car. These were probably used as weapons at one time. I knew a little guy that broke his TV. Cocomelon, piece of crap, wah wah wah. Cocomelon freaks out, throws some crap, breaks his TV. Hot Wheels are dangerous things in the hands of dangerous little out of control kids. Nah. Common sense. That's pretty sick. They're both just slammed. The year on any of these is 82 is when that casting came out. Red is just really, really nice. So I can get a close up of this red right here. This one I'm just throwing in here for fun. This one hit the tub too, but I actually played with this one as a kid. So that's hilarious. I kept that one. I can't remember if I talked about this one or not, but this was a car that was supposed to be a concept car, and I had the model of it as a kid. I was a big Corvette fan as a kid. That's why I have all those extra Hot Wheels that are Corvettes that are in here as well. They called this the Banshee, and if you haven't noticed, the front end there looks an awful lot like the Corvettes and the Catfish Camaro. There's no paint on the front there, but I know you can see it. So I don't know if you can tell or see it, but kind of has that look of a Corvette Camaro. I don't know what the idea was, if it was going to be super futuristic with lights on it, or electric even, or I don't know. But I thought this was cool because I actually had the model car of it at the same time. Okay. Then we got this weird thing. It's all Hot Wheels, but I don't know actually what it is. So I just kept it because it was actually mine. No, not even in the screen there. What the? It looks like a Porsche. We thought it was like a race car Porsche as a kid, but can't actually tell what it is. Any guesses? I've looked online. This one's in like perfect condition. The other ones are bashed to heck, and they're missing this wing. This is still plastic. Not sure if I showed you that before. But theirs is all beat up and they're going for ridiculous money. And so I don't know what this would go for right now. I don't even know which one it is. How close can we get it there? So I don't have any info on that, but I've had this race car since we were a kid. It's got an interesting diffuser. They must not quite have had diffusers like we do now, obviously. But that's interesting. You don't see that on Hot Wheels very often. See if we can get some views of that. So that's exhaust. Those aren't parachutes, actually. Those are just exhaust, which is crazy. Again, this is a big longer. A much longer car than average. Do the dark Batman poser there, the shiny chrome. Another one I have in here is a car I wanted in real life. And as a kid, when this was getting developed, I was like, oh, this is going to be the sickest car in the world. And it came out and everybody thought it was pretty sick. But it had some problems, of course, and so it wasn't the big splash that I had hoped, that everyone else that had hoped for it to be. If you can't tell, this isn't a Zamac. Maybe I should go into that after this one. I will. This is actually silver, and you know what? This looks like it might be third wheel or center position driver. No, it's not. I just don't know enough about this car. I saw it in a metallic purple like this. I thought it was so sick. This was supposed to be their fastest car, and the Jaguar, actually, if you didn't notice, the Jaguar JX220 is what this is. It was supposed to be their new crazy supercar, and I forget what the problems it had, but it just never took off. Or the maintenance, I don't remember, which is unfortunate, but it was supposed to be the fastest road car at the time and do all this stuff. the Halo car, but nothing ever happened of it. I don't think they even sold very many of them. Yada yada yada. But this is nice. I might bring this out later because I'm not going to do the Zamex right now. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go with this. I kind of briefly showed this Cunningham. I'm not sure if that's the race team or if this is some crazy rendition of a C4 Corvette. Or I actually have no idea what this one is. If you know, please let me know. I just found it at a secondhand store and was like, this is cool. Because it said Hot Wheels and was like, you know, something to buy as a kid. So this was the one that I bought that day. I don't know if you can see the details on it. It's so close. But that's that one. And then we get into something interesting here. Check this out. What is that? I just don't even actually know. This one I had as a kid, and it was always kept it because it was always weird that this F1 car, it must be, had rubber tires on it. Can you see that? Does that have a year on the bottom there? I don't see a year. Nothing to go by. This metal is the casting through the bottom. I just noticed. Did you see that? So this has rubber on it. It doesn't go down any of the tracks either. Most of these don't because they're just too low or the wheels don't fit anymore. You can tell this one has... I was going to get rid of it, to be honest, but then I found and realized the rubber tires. Don't know what it is. That's one I had. I stuck this in the vintage thing right beside it because I couldn't believe that I found one. This, of course, is the new F1 cars that Hot Wheels just did. This is not the Red Bull Verstappen, unfortunately. How close can I get with this one? Because they did a really, really good job. They do have premium versions of this too, which are unbelievable. They're a little bit bigger and they don't really look like Hot Wheels because they're so different. Maybe you can see this a little bit better now. How's that? So they have the whole, not the whole lineup, but the whole basic starring crew of the F1 cars, which is really cool. These are really, really hot right now. Like I said, I can't see if you can see that front lip there. Or wing, they call that the wing. Should have a turntable so it doesn't keep going out of focus and stuff. I can just have it sit there. But that's interesting, hey? And the old... It's pretty wild. I do have a couple of treasure hunts that are open. But I haven't even mentioned those or gone into that because this is not about collecting treasure hunts. But if you know, you know. Put this back. I'm not sure if this is how this went. That's okay, I'll fix it later. Yep, that's it. Right there, that little symbol means it's a treasure hunt. That's just way too close for the camera. That one. I like this casting. I found the first edition. I found a couple special limited ones, and I found this one. I found quite a few of them actually. Gave some of them away to the kids and then have one in it all wrapped up. This is the treasure hunt. The treasure hunts get special paint. They still don't get the metal bottom or nice wheels, but they'll have special fancy speckle spectrum flame, sometimes they call it. And then the regular one will just have normal blue, for example. This happened to be the 55th anniversary edition. So they have a whole lineup of just all the cars, and they're in this color scheme saying 55. And this ended up being picked for one, and it was a treasure hunt. I think this is the real treasure hunt. Nope, I did not paint this. This is a real Hot Wheels. Speaking of Spectre Flame. Look at this. Looks like, I thought it was somebody's bad nail polish that's, you know, got a Hot Wheel and board and painted it with nail polish. Does anybody know what car this is? It doesn't say, it just says when it came out in '84. I looked it up and this is still going for a lot of money. It's chipped, but it's still in pretty good condition, even though it's rusty. It's a Pontiac Fiero. It's from '84. I don't know if you're familiar with these, but I got to drive one and it was like a little go-kart. I found that somewhere along the way. I had this bad boy too. I was kind of going to get in. Huh? I was kind of going to get into mod rods, but I only came across a couple that I liked. Like this one doesn't have any information on the bottom of it. This mod rod and this bone crusher. Saw this in the Porsche. This is the legendary one and only Carrera, the GT Carrera that is about 20 years old. I think this is the 90s version, and it's still one of the top supercars. That was sitting there too with the old ones. And I got this one. The one year these reverse rate cars were so popular. I was gonna say all the rage, but that's kind of dumb. This is another one. This one I think was the Legend Tour winner, which means it was probably a real car that they turned into a Hot Wheel. If I'm correct, I'll look at the bottom of this as I put this gasser up here too. This again was either a collectible or I forget why people wanted this one and I happened to find one. This one just says it's a Volvo gasser. And that yellow one doesn't say anything. But I kept them with the old stuff because I used to have some old Chevy Bel Airs and so forth. Here's another one. This one says Supernova, so it's got to be at 67. 67 Nova station wagon. But these all have that reverse rake. They all have the big engines in the front. Quite popular in the States. I don't know if that's probably too close. I'm trying to get good detail on these. This Nova, though, what I found was the Zamac version. So it's the same exact casting. It's the same exact car and casting. But the one on the left is raw, they consider it. So no paint was on it. It came from the factory. You can find them like this. They're the Zamac ones. It says right there. And so they'll make a whole lineup of just these silver cars. And this happened to be one of the ones that was in the lineup that year. So they're usually quite hard to find. And it's usually quite hard to even have both of them. And I was lucky enough to find both of them. Remember from my supercar video, the exotics. This is the Automobile of Birna Fatista, and that's exactly how it's pronounced. And I kept them because, once again, this is the Zamac version of it. It says right down there on the left wheel. So this was in the collection. And this is the one that was the regular white. With that one, I also had, oh, it's stuck. The Singer 21C. This is the one that's all carbon fiber. I think this was all designed by AI. The driver and the passenger sit tandem instead of side by side. It's quite an interesting car. I think this one was produced in Croatia. There again, this is the Zamac version of that car. And then we have this one, if you remember. Is this black one. It's the Corvette C706 package. It's a Zamac right there. That, ladies and gentlemen, might be the end of it. Hope you like the vintage collection. There aren't that many that were old and vintage. In that case, there's more Corvettes and special cars than there's vintage by this point. But those are some of the old ones. I'm going to keep probably collecting them as you do, going to different websites and garage sales and families, blah, blah, blah.